Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down the latest academic research into bite-sized pieces. Today, we're tackling a huge topic, artificial intelligence. Specifically, how is it actually changing the way people work?
Right. We hear a lot of grand predictions. Either it's going to solve all our problems and we'll all be working 4-hour weeks, or the robots are coming for all of our jobs. It's hard to know what's really happening on the ground.
Exactly, which is why this new paper is so interesting. It's titled, Exploring the Impact of Generative Artificial Intelligence on Software Development in the IT Sector. Researchers from the University of Gdansk in Poland decided to cut through the noise and just ask the people on the front lines, software developers.
And before we dive in, let's quickly define what we're talking about. When we say Gen AI or Gen AI, we mean tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or GitHub Copilot. You give it a prompt and it generates something new for you, whether that's an email, an image, or in this case, lines of computer code.
So the first big question the researchers wanted to answer was pretty simple. Are people in the IT sector even using these tools for their work? And the answer they got back was a resounding yes. A massive 97% of the IT workers they surveyed said they use generative AI in their jobs.
97%. That's not an early adopter trend. That's basically universal. It's already part of the toolbox. And the most popular tool by a long shot was ChatGPT, which makes sense since it was one of the first to really go mainstream. But others like GitHub Copilot, which is designed specifically for coding, are also very popular.
Okay, so almost everyone is using it. The next logical question is it actually helping? Are these tools making people better at their jobs?
And again, the answer seems to be a clear yes. The study participants reported significant gains in their personal productivity. They feel like they're getting more done faster. The study also found that the more an organization adopts Gen AI tools, the more efficient the whole company is perceived to be.
So that's the good news. These tools work, but what are people actually using them for? Is it all just high-level, complex coding?
That's one of the most interesting parts of the study. It turns out the most common uses are things we can all relate to. The top 2 uses for both developers and managers were copywriting and learning.
Copywriting? You mean like writing emails and reports?
Exactly. Using AI to draft a quick email, summarize a long document, or create a presentation. And they're also using it as a learning tool to understand new concepts or technologies quickly. Of course, the developers are also using it for the heavy-duty technical stuff, generating code, optimizing it, and reviewing it for errors. Managers, on the other hand, were more likely to use it for project management tasks.
So to recap, almost everyone in software development is using AI, it's making them more productive, and they're using it for everything from writing emails to writing complex code. This all sounds fantastic. It feels like there has to be a catch.
And there is a big one. The paper found a powerful and slightly worrying connection. The more a company invests and prioritizes generative AI as part of its business strategy, the more its employees worry about their job security.
Wow, so it's a double-edged sword. The very thing making the company more productive is also making the employees nervous about their future.
Precisely. It's a classic trade-off. The paper found a strong positive correlation between a company's AI strategy and employee job security. Think of it this way. Your boss gives you a new, super-powered tool that lets you do your job twice as fast. At first, that's great for you and for the company. But then a thought might creep into your head. If one person can now do the work of 2, does the company still need 2 people?
That makes a lot of sense. And the study suggests that this fear isn't just about whether you personally are good at using AI. The anxiety seems to come from the top down.
That's a key point. The researchers found that an employee's personal feeling of productivity from using AI wasn't strongly linked to their feelings of job security. The fear kicks in when they see the organization as a whole making big investments in AI. It's less about, am I good enough with this new tool, and more about, what is the company's long-term plan for a workforce that uses these tools?
So if this technology is so widespread and so effective, what's stopping it from completely taking over? The paper looked at the challenges and barriers, right?
It did, and they are significant. The number one concern, cited by nearly two-thirds of the respondents, was inaccurate outputs. AI models are famous for something called hallucinations, where they just confidently make things up. In casual use, that can be funny. In software development, an AI-generated error can cause a massive system failure.
Okay, so you can't always trust what it gives you. That's a pretty big barrier. What else?
The next two biggest concerns were regulatory compliance and ethical issues. Companies are worried about breaking laws, especially around data privacy, if they rely too heavily on AI. And there are huge ethical questions about who owns AI-generated code, whether the AI was trained on copyrighted material, and the general trustworthiness of the systems.
So it's not just a technical problem, it's also a legal and ethical one. It's much more complicated than just flipping a switch.
Exactly. Interestingly, things like high costs or a lack of skilled staff were much lower on the list of concerns. The main roadblocks are about trust, reliability, and rules.
So what's the big takeaway here? This paper gives us a really fascinating snapshot of what's happening in the IT world right now.
I think the main takeaway is that the impact of generative AI is not simple. It's not just good or bad. It delivers real, measurable benefits in productivity and efficiency, but those benefits come hand in hand with genuine fears about job security. The story isn't about humans versus machines. It's about navigating a powerful new tool that changes the rules of work.
And it highlights that the challenge isn't just for individual workers to adapt, but for entire organizations to figure out how to integrate this technology in a way that's effective, ethical, and doesn't leave their workforce behind.
That's it exactly. This paper shows we're in the middle of a massive experiment, and the results are still coming in.
A huge thank you to the researchers Anton Bonin, Pawel Smolinski, and Jacek Winiarski for their work on this. And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for listening to Daily Papers.